Omitofo, everyone. Please put your palms together and recite 3 times. Homage to our fundamental teacher Shakyamuni Buddha. Homage to our fundamental teacher Shakyamuni Buddha. Homage to our fundamental teacher Shakyamuni Buddha. You may now put your palms down. Today it's the last class with the section 6 in the 6 Patriarchs Platform Sutra series, How to Find the Best Guiding Teacher. The first 6 chapters of the 6 Patriarch Sutra focuses on seeing the nature, referring specifically to the 6 Patriarchs' effortless and innate possession of the Buddha's all-wisdom, which is also known as the inherent wisdom. Chapter 7, Opportunities and Conditions, teaches sentient beings how to develop acquired wisdom through the right circumstances. This chapter talks about sentient beings receiving the teachings based on their conditions. This is today's course outline. These dhyana masters, whose conditions have ripened, have spent their entire life focusing on one particular sutra. They consulted the 6 Patriarchs about the principles that confused them. Today, we'll spend 40 minutes introducing the key teachings in some of the Mahayana scriptures, including the Lotus Sutra, Lavantakara Sutra, and Nirvana Sutra. On the one hand, you may consider this a blessing, but on the other, it can be very mentally exhausting as well. So it would be a good idea to get your pen and paper to take notes and stay attentive, or you will be lost in the maze. Now, after receiving the Dharma at Huangmei, the 6 Patriarchs traveled south toward Guangzhou and eventually arrived at Caoxi. One day, Bhikshuni Infinite Treasury came to inquire about the Great Nirvana Sutra and was surprised that the illiterate 6 Patriarch, who was still known as a layman Lu at that time, could understand the true meaning of the sutra. The Patriarch said, "The wondrous principle of the Buddha Dharma is not based on words at all." In his opinion, sutras intend to lead confused beings to awakening, but we should attain the inherent nature of true suchness ourselves, because the mirror Dharma is in our mind. Therefore, words and languages are but tools to achieve that. The Bhikshuni was convinced by his reasoning and announced to the elders in the village, "This is no ordinary man. We must make him stay and make offerings to him." Hearing of the accomplished practitioner at Caohou village, everyone came from far and near to pay homage to him. Master Hua said, "Bhikshuni Infinite Treasury was truly amazing. She ate only 1 meal a day and never lay down to sleep. Even though she was born to a wealthy family, she observed the precept against money and dedicated all her time to cultivation, reciting sutras and studying the Buddha Dharma from morning to night without slacking off. Therefore, her flesh body remained intact to this day." The Baoling Temple in the village at the time was previously destroyed in a fire during the Sui dynasty and was later rebuilt and renamed Nanhua Monastery. When the 6th Patriarch arrived at Nanhua Monastery, he was fortunate enough to have Bhikshuni Infinite Treasury protecting and supporting him. Otherwise, he would have been killed by Shenshu's followers and other non-Buddhists. Now, Shenshu's followers number in the hundreds pursued the 6th Patriarch to Guangdong, wishing to be the next Patriarch, having stayed at Nanhua Temple for 9 months. He was finally found by his wicked pursuers. Through the spiritual powers, he went into hiding in the mountains before they could seize him. Unable to find the Patriarch, they decided to burn down the forest. The Patriarch survived the fire by squeezing himself between the cracks of a rock. Now, it is at this point that he remembered his teaching's instructions. Stop at Huai and go into hiding at Hui. So he hid himself in a remote area to the west of Guangdong, among the hunters of Xinhui in Huaiji County. Now let us review the 6 Patriarchs' life journeys. He was born in Xinxin Province, Bao'en Temple, which was built to commemorate his birthplace. And this Bao'en Temple was later renamed as Guo'en Temple during the Tang Empress time. At age 24, he went to Dongtan Temple at Huangmei, Hubei, to seek teachings from the fifth patriarch. And 8 months later, he received the robe and bowl. Now, he then traveled south to Guangzhou's Caohou village and spent 9 months there rebuilding Nanhua Temple. Next, he went into hiding among a band of hunters at Sihui in Huaiti County for 19 years. At 39, he officially became a monk at Faxing Temple. Since then, he had been teaching the Dharma for 36 years, staying mainly at Nanhua Temple. During this time, he was invited by Magistrate Wei to expound the Dharma and confer the formless precepts at Dafan Temple. Finally, he passed away at his hometown in Xinxin Province. So now we will be introducing Dhyana Master Fa Hai. He was the one who compiled the Sixth Patriarch Platform Sutra. Since the Sixth Patriarch was illiterate, we have Dhyana Master Fa Hai to thank for compiling the teachings into the sutra so we could study them. Now, let's not confuse this Dhyana Master Fa Hai with the Dharma Master of the same name in the legend of the white snake. When Dhyana Master Fa Hai first came to see the Sixth Patriarch, he asked, "Will you please instruct me on the verse, 'The mind is the Buddha'?" The Sixth Patriarch said, "When one's preceding thoughts are not produced, this is the mind. And this means what's already past, let it be, and do not cling to it." He continued, "When one's subsequent thoughts are not extinguished, this is the Buddha. Do not stop successive thoughts, but put them into practice with self-mastery. Otherwise, we will become unfeeling and indifferent like a plant and will never realize Buddhahood. In short, do not be attached to past thoughts and be vigilant and mindful of rising thoughts." Next, the Patriarch said, "The setting up of Marxist mind and separation from them is Buddha." Everyone is replete with the Buddha's nature. The substance, myriad dharmas arise from the Buddha's nature and appear in all kinds of form. And this appreciation is the mind. This is analogous to electricity as the cause. This is analogous to electricity as the cause that leads to the invention of light bulb, telephone, rice cooker, and other electrical appliances that operate on electricity. However, they are all subject to the process of formation, existence, decay, and emptiness. If we understand that all phenomena are illusory and be unattached to them, then we have reached the stage of the Buddhas. So the relationship between Buddha and mind is the same as that of substance and its application. So the Sixth Patriarch continue, when the mind is called wisdom, then the Buddha is called concentration. When concentration and wisdom are equal, the intellect is pure. There is a saying, Naga always remains in samadhi, never leaving samadhi for a split second. Naga is Sanskrit for never coming. Therefore, Naga Samadhi refers to the Buddha's samadhi that never comes nor goes, which is the substance. Samadhi gives rise to the wisdom to teach living beings. In the Diamond Sutra, it teaches the principle of rescuing living beings, but no one is actually being rescued. This is to break us from our attachment to the action. Having realized this profound meaning, we will become a Buddha. Therefore, samadhi is the substance for wisdom. They may be different in name, but they're all the same in nature. In Chapter 4, Concentration and Wisdom, the Patriarch defined the unmoving self-nature as samadhi, and the function of it is wisdom. Samadhi and wisdom is analogous to light bulb and light. The coexistence of light bulb and light is non-dual, just like the relationship between the mind and the Buddha. So now we will look at the Chinese character Wu, awakening. And now, Dhyana Master Fa Hai attained great awakening from the Six Patriarchs' teaching. So this character is consisted of me and also the radical in Chinese mind. In other words, understanding the origin of our mind's ground is awakening. Having awakened, Dhyana Master Fa Hai exclaimed, "The mind is the Buddha." When I don't understand, they are two, mind and Buddha, but in actuality, they're originally one. Now that I've understood the cultivation of wisdom in samadhi, I should transcend all forms. Transcending all forms really means this is different from living in seclusion in the mountains. Instead, it is about being free from attachments to the comings and goings of everyday affair. Now, the second story is about Dharma Master Fa Da. He spent his entire life studying the wondrous Dharma Lotus Sutra without really understanding it. He came to homage to the Sixth Patriarch, but he did not bow his head to the ground. So the Patriarch, of course, knew immediately something was bothering him. So he asked, "What is your daily practice?" And proudly, the Dharma Master Fa Da replied, "I've recited the Dharma Flower Sutra 3,000 times. Now, do you remember the Dharma Flower Sutra's praise? With more than 60,000 characters compiled in 7 scrolls, boundless wonderful meanings are contained within this treasury. So this sutra consists of 7 rolls and 60,000 words. Reciting the sutra 3,000 times takes 10 years if we recite it once daily. No wonder Dharma Master Fa Da was very proud of this accomplishment." Now the Patriarch said, "Bowing is a gesture of overcoming arrogance. You do not bow to the ground because you're full of yourself. Thinking that reciting the sutra 3,000 times brings you great merits, you are consumed with ego. Now, if your mind has no thoughts of merits, then your blessings and virtues will be boundless." So now, having heard the Patriarch's admonishment, Dhyana Master Fa Da repented on his mistakes, lamenting that he had been reciting the Dharma Flower Sutra in words without understanding its meaning. Now, Fa Da in Chinese originally means penetrating the Dharma, but he was not able to penetrate the Dharma at all. So Master Huina was illiterate. He instructed the Dharma Master Fa Da to recite the sutra to him. When Fa Da reached Chapter 3, a parable, the Patriarch stopped him and started explaining the sutra to him. The Tathagata came to this world for one great matter, which is to reveal, show, realize, and enter the knowledge and vision of the Buddhas to sentient beings. This is the objective of the entire sutra. The Patriarch continued, "Worldly people attach themselves to either forms or emptiness. If you can live among forms and emptiness, but also be apart from them, then you will become awakened in the span of one thought." Now, revealing the knowledge and vision of the Buddha is simply that. Buddha means enlightenment and is divided into 4 parts: reveal, show, realize, and enter the Buddha's knowledge and vision. If you listen to the sutra and understand the principle, that's awakening and realizing the inherent nature of true suchness. Worldly people give nice speeches with an evil intention. Overcome by greed, hatred, envy, jealousy, they oppress and exploit others. Now, this is revealing ordinary beings' knowledge and vision. So, if you could constantly reflect upon yourself, refraining from committing evils, and practice all good, then you are open to the Buddha's knowledge and vision. And then the Dharma Flower Sutras revealing, showing, realizing, and entering the Buddha's knowledge and vision actually coincide with the Avatamsaka Sutra's faith, understanding, practice, and realization. The Patriarch reminded everyone not to belittle ourselves, thinking that opening, showing, realizing, and entering the Buddha's knowledge and vision has nothing to do with us. If we could end greed and stop seeking externally, then we would be no different from the Buddhas. Now, having understood the principle, Father asked, "Do I still need to recite the sutra after understanding it?" The Patriarch retorted, "This has nothing to do with reciting the sutra. Your recitation is futile when you're confused, but you'll gain from it when you've understood it. When the mind is confused, the Dharma flower turns it. The enlightened mind will turn the Dharma flower. If your mouth recites and your mind practices, you turn the sutra. But if your mouth recites and your mind does not practice, the sutra turns you." Hearing that, Father broke into tears, saying, "I have been turned by the sutra all along." And in his grief, Father suddenly recalled a line from the Dharma Flower Sutra. If living beings as smart as Shariputra were to exhaust their mind in order to measure the Buddha's wisdom, they still could not fathom it. All the Buddha's great disciples, Shravakas, Arhats, great Bodhisattvas, still cannot gauge or fathom the Buddha's wisdom, even with the collective wisdom. Great Master, you now wish to teach ordinary beings to understand their self-nature. The Buddha's knowledge and vision. I'm afraid those with inferior roots and wisdom can't help slandering and doubting it. How could opening the Buddha's knowledge and vision be that simple? Everyone could attain it? So the Patriarch replied, "The sutra clearly states that those of the three vehicles cannot understand the Buddha's teachings due to the deliberating mind. They fail to apply effort on the self-nature of true suchness. If they were free from deliberation, then they would be able to understand the sutra's principles. The more they ponder and seek externally, the farther they deviate from the ultimate truth. Although Shravakas, Pratyekabuddhas, and Bodhisattvas are already riding on the great white ox cart, they continue searching everywhere for their respective goat, deer, and ox carts. Moreover, the sutra stresses that there's only one Buddha vehicle. The other vehicles never existed. The three vehicles of Shravakas, Pratyekabuddhas, and Bodhisattvas are mere provisional Dharma. All the parables, causes, and conditions and expedient means are taught for the sake of the one Buddha vehicle." Now, Dharma Master Father finally understood, the goat cart, deer cart, and ox cart are nothing but provisional teachings. He then concluded the meeting with this verse: "Who would have thought that within the burning house originally the king of Dharma dwelt?" The three realms exist in our mind. If we were attached to the Dharma of ultimate reality, then we're living in a burning house. Conversely, if we could turn things around, freeing ourselves from attachments, then we would attain liberation and self-mastery and become the king of Dharma. Having cleared up his confusion, Dharma Master Fada dedicated himself to reciting the sutra with renewed zest. Now, did anyone notice that these dhyana masters are all highly accomplished in their studies? Their conversations with six patriarchs may be short and concise, and their thought-provoking debates led to joyous great awakenings of the mind. And now, the third story is on Dhyana Master Zhitong, who was an expert in the Lavantakara Sutra, an important sutra in both Chan and consciousness-only schools. The mind Dharma taught in Lavantakara Sutra was brought to China by the first patriarch Bodhidharma and passed down to the fifth patriarch, Master Hongren. The elder master Zibo, who was one of the four eminent monks at the end of Ming Dynasty, said, "The sutra teaches us how to transform consciousness into wisdom." The Dhyana Master Zhitong had been studying the sutra for more than a decade, but still could not understand the meaning of the three bodies and four wisdoms, hence came to the sixth patriarch. The patriarch said, "The three bodies are the clear, pure Dharma body, which is your nature, the perfect full reward body, which is your wisdom, and the 100,000 mirror transformation bodies, which are your conduct." Now, he further explained, this clear, pure Dharma body is our true nature, which is the essence, and the perfect full reward body is our wisdom, which is the form. A saying goes, Prajna knows nothing, yet knows everything. Knows nothing doesn't mean that it is ignorant of everything, but that it doesn't discriminate. We sentient beings have a discerning mind, which consciously discriminates against everything, causing us to know nothing and lack true wisdom. 100,000 mirror transformation bodies refer to our words and behaviors, which is the function. Since we have all kinds of identities, being an employee, colleague, friend outside, being a father, a son, etc. at home, we say these are the 100,000 mirrored bodies. The three bodies are inherently one. Essence, forms, and functions are all one. So, having understood the three bodies, we will then develop four wisdoms, because the three bodies equal the four wisdom, and the four wisdoms equals three bodies. They're not apart from seeing and hearing, and never separated from everyday seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, tactile awareness, and knowing. If we understand this, then we will realize the ground of the Buddhas, as the saying goes. The Buddha Dharma is found in the mundane, hence awakening cannot be attained away from the mundane. Now, Dhyana Master Zhitong still did not understand the four wisdoms, so the patriarch further explained. The wisdom of the great, perfect mirror is your clear, pure nature. The wisdom of equal nature is the mind without disease. Wonderfully observing wisdom is seeing without effort. Perfecting wisdom is the same as the perfect mirror. Now, before realizing the great perfect mirror wisdom, it's called the eighth consciousness, or alaya in Sanskrit and storehouse of consciousness in Chinese. It is a repository where all the seeds of goodness and evil are stored. These karmic seeds manifest in the form of birth and death, so they're like an illusory flower, false and unreal. The seventh consciousness, or manas consciousness, sends the karmic actions done by the sixth consciousness to the eighth consciousness for storage. Conversely, it also retrieves karmic seeds from the eighth consciousness and sets the sixth consciousness into action. As it serves as a relay medium, it's also called the consciousness that transmits messages. It's the basis of self-view, self-love, self-conceit, and self-delusion, the four ephemeral mistakes that from the character offenses in Chinese. Now, the sixth consciousness is in charge of distinguishing between good and bad, right and wrong, men and women, etc. It's also the commander that orders the 5 sense faculties, the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and body, to take actions. For example, when you bump into a person on the street, and then the 6th consciousness send the information through the 7th consciousness to the 8th consciousness for a data searching. This person owed me $250. So the 7th consciousness says to the 6th consciousness, this person is not nice. So your eyes look away, your nose snorts despisingly. And this is how we're fooled by the flowers of illusions. Self-conceit, images of conditions all day long. So how can we turn them into wisdom? So the 6th Patriarch said, since the 6th and 7th consciousness change with the cause, we may try relinquishing ego through the 7th consciousness. If we could free ourselves from hindrances, jealousy, and discrimination between others and I, we would then attain impartial emptiness. We may also observe the mirrored Dharma as images of conditions through the 6th consciousness. When our skills mature, we will regard all states without discrimination, seeing all conditioned dharmas as a dream, an illusion, a bubble, and a shadow, like dews and like lightning flashes. In essence, we may work on the 6th consciousness or 7th consciousness. Just like the man who points his finger at the moon. If we turn the 6th and 7th consciousness to wisdom on the causal ground, the 5th and the 8th consciousness will naturally transform themselves into the perfecting wisdom and great perfect mirror wisdom respectively as a result. At this stage, we're like a mirror that reflects everything as they come and go, fulfilling one's original vow and teaching and transforming sentient beings throughout the 10 directions. What is the relationship between 3 bodies and 4 wisdoms then? Great perfect mirror wisdom represents the Dharma body. Wisdom of equal nature represents the reward body, while the wonderfully observing wisdom and perfecting wisdom represents the transformation bodies. Now, in the Samyutta Agama Sutra contains the chapter on not getting hit by the arrow 2 times, which perfectly illustrates the principle of turning consciousness into wisdom. The sutra says, ordinary people as well as sages who have realized fruition in their cultivation all experience pain, pleasure, and moments of neither pain nor pleasure. During critical times in life, we would be overcome by the poison of anger, and during good times, we would indulge in greed. Even during times of neither pain nor pleasure, we would still live in a delusion. Like a person who got shot by a poisonous arrow and is shot again by a second arrow at the same spot, the pain is doubled. But for the sages, when pain arises, they only allow it to stay on the physical level, refraining it from reaching the mind. Similarly, when happiness arises, they do not party with it. Therefore, the sages have broken away from the bond of greed, anger, delusion, and afflictions, and will not let themselves be hit by the second arrow. The Buddha taught us to keep an ordinary mind so it will not be affected by good and bad situations. This will protect us from being shot by the poisonous arrow twice at the same place. And this is how we practice turning consciousness into wisdom. So now we'll look at Dhyana Master Zhichang. He came to pay respects to the 6th Patriarch, saying, your student has recently been to Baifei Mountain in Hongzhou to call on the Master Datong and receive his instruction on the principle of seeing one's nature and realizing Buddhahood. As I have not yet to resolve my doubts, I have come to seek your compassionate instruction. Patriarch asked, what instructions did the Master give you? Zhichang replied, Master Da Tong said, our original mind is like an empty spade, which has neither forms nor attributes, and is neither blue nor yellow, neither long nor short. To understand nothing can be seen is called right seeing. To know that nothing can be known is called true knowing. Simply seeing the clear, pure original source, the perfect, bright, enlightened substance, this is called seeing one's nature and realizing Buddhahood. So the sixth patriarch said, Master Datong's explanation still retains the concept of knowing and seeing. That is why you're still confused. Listen to my verse. Not to see a single Dharma still retains not seeing, greatly resembling floating clouds covering the sun. Not to know a single Dharma holds to empty knowing, even as a lightning flash comes out of empty space. Not to see a single Dharma is the same as nothing can be seen in the previous slide. But we should pay special attention to this word, retain, 存, in Chinese. If we retain the notion of not seeing, then we would have covered our inherent nature of true suchness with floating clouds, hence unable to realize awakening. The next two lines says, not to know a single Dharma holds to empty knowing, even as a lightning flash comes out of empty space. If we don't know that not seeing a single Dharma is the same as the nothing can be seen, then we're still stuck with the idea of not knowing a single Dharma, and we will face lightning-like obstacles. Just as someone said, I'm learning Buddhism, so I'll let go of everything. When you say you're letting go, you cannot still have the idea of letting go. If you still have that thought, then you haven't truly let go. If you're unattached to knowing and seeing and have returned to your original state, then you would not have the notion of knowing and seeing. So, hearing this, Master Zhi Chang immediately understood it all. So now, let's have a question for everyone. What kind of practitioner do you think you are? One of lesser vehicle, of middle vehicle, of great vehicle, or of supreme vehicle? Okay. So now let's think about it and think which kind of practitioner are we? Do you always recite the Mahayana Sutras like Amitabha Sutra, the Dharma Flower Sutra, Shrangama Sutra? Okay, so please remember your own answer. Okay, so more than half thinks to yourself as the of the great vehicle. Just remember your answer and we'll discuss about it. So, one day Dhyana Master Zhi Chang asked the sixth patriarch, the Buddha taught the Dharma of the three vehicles, the Sravaka, Pratika Buddha, and Bodhisattva vehicles, also the supreme vehicle. I have not understood that and would like to be instructed. So the patriarch said, how could the Dharma be divided into four vehicles? Not even one vehicle existed. It's all in our discriminating mind. Those who read, listen, recite the sutras are the lesser vehicle. Those who understand but do not practice the principles in the Buddha's teaching, they are the middle vehicle as they have understood the states of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, not their own state. And then those who not only understand but also practice according to teachings are Bodhisattvas of the great vehicle, as practice strengthens their understanding. Understanding reinforces their practice, and both complement each other. Now, how about the supreme vehicle? Those who have completely mastered and perfected the myriad dharmas are free from afflictions and worries. They realize all dharmas originate from heart, and heart is the dharma, and undefiled, unattached. So now now that you've heard of the explanation above, what kind of practitioner do you think you are then? So now we can see a lot of the time we recite the sutra, but it's not that we understand all of it, let alone being able to be awakened and light with that. So perhaps we have a different understanding of the type of practitioner we are. So now the polls in the answers, we're seeing different answers. So now we're going to look at the next Dharma master, which is Bhikshu Zhidao. He's a native of Nanhai in Guangdong, came to consult the sixth patriarch. Since becoming a monk, I've studied the Mahaparinirvana Sutra for more than 10 years, but I still don't understand its meaning. Could you explain it to me, please? The patriarch asked, which part do you not understand? And Zhidao replied, I don't understand this particular verse in the sutra. All activities are impermanent, characterized by production and extinction. When production and extinction are extinguished, that still extinction is bliss. So let's now look at the Tathagata transcendence of terror and fear's verse came about. Once upon a time, when Shakyamuni Buddha was cultivating the snow mountain, he overheard a Rakshasa ghost recite, nothing in the world is permanent. This is the Dharma of production and extinction. Shakyamuni knew there should be 2 more verses, so he asked, why did you stop? The ghost said, I'm too hungry to continue. Shakyamuni said, please tell me the verses, and I'll offer my body for your meal. So the ghost agreed. And then Shakyamuni continued, after you have told me the verses, can you please let me carve them on a tree before eating me? The ghost knew that the old cultivator wanted to pass down the Dharma to future generations, so he agreed and recited the next 2 verses, which are, being free from production and extinction, that's the state of nirvana bliss. So Shakyamuni quickly carved the verses on tree, but then thought, they'll last longer if I can carve them on a rock. So he then made another request to the ghost, and the ghost was moved by his sincerity and agreed again. And after he carved them on the rock, he closed his eyes, waiting to be eaten by the ghost. But nothing happened for a long time. It turned out that it was a deva that had come to test his sincerity. So now we're going to look back. So the sixth patriarch said, this verse explained it clearly. What are you confused about? So Zhidao Dharma Master replied, all beings have 2 bodies, a physical and a Dharma body. The physical body is impermanent and is subject to birth and death. The Dharma body is permanent and has no knowing or awareness. The sutra says, being free from production and extinction, that's the state of nirvana bliss. But which of the 2 bodies experience such bliss? If we say it's the physical body, how can it enjoy nirvana bliss when it goes through immense pain and breaks down upon death? Conversely, when the Dharma body enters into ultimate nirvana, it has no feelings and emotions like the grass, trees, bricks, and rocks. How could it enjoy ultimate bliss? So here's my question. Here's the question. What did Dhyana Master Zhidao get wrong? He was trapped by perceptions of duality. The physical body and the Dharma body are actually one. Moreover, he had mistaken the Dharma body as permanent and is without knowing or awareness. Wouldn't it be like insentient objects? The truth is, our Buddha nature is always forever virtuous and endowed with spiritual discernment and spiritual awareness. So Dhyana Master Zhidao then said, the Dharma nature is the substance of production and extinction, and the 5 aggregates are the function of production and extinction. With one body having 5 functions, production and extinction, being the substance, are of course permanent. Now, production arises from the substance, and extinction returns to the substance. If there were rebirth, then sentient beings would never cease to be or not to be, and are permanent. If there were no rebirth, they would return to tranquil extinction and be just like insentient objects. That's the extreme view on annihilation. Faced with restriction of rebirth, how could there be bliss? So, can you tell then, What mistake did Master Zhidao make? He was confused by the views of permanence and annihilation. In actuality, life stems from essence, which then develop into functions. Production comes into being based on conditions, but the inherent substance is free from production. Do you remember the Six Patriarchs' first verse on enlightenment? How unexpected! The inherent nature is originally pure in itself. How unexpected! The inherent nature is originally complete in itself. How unexpected! The inherent nature is originally neither produce nor destroy. Similarly, destruction comes from the ending of conditions. Consequently, forms and appearances also vanish. But the inherent substance experiences neither production nor extinction, and this is called the ultimate. Forms and appearances come and go, but the inherent essence never moves nor changes. Many people treat tranquil extinction or nirvana as death, like an insentient object. That's the view of annihilation. On the contrary, if we think people are always people, and dogs are dogs life after life, then this is the view of permanence. Neither of these two views are in accord with the Buddha's teaching. So, the Sixth Patriarch said, deluded people mistook the union of the five aggregations for their own bodies and discriminated dharmas as external to themselves. So they suffer from reincarnations, not realizing that these are as unreal as dreams and illusions. In reality, the essence of the Buddha nature manifests in the space of an instant and is neither produced nor extinguished. We should understand that this body may form and decay, but throughout this process, the Buddha nature neither comes nor goes. Here's an example. It's like putting on different clothes every day while the body stays the same. That's permanent bliss, but it's not the bliss of heavenly being, as they still suffer from the misery of unattainment. And the bliss of nirvana is the ultimate and does not need an enjoyer nor a non-enjoyer. Why? As both are manifested from the self-nature, not even the name can be obtained. So now, the Sixth Patriarch taught him a verse. I've selected a few lines to share with you here. He said, the supreme great nirvana is perfect, shining, everlasting, and unchanging. But common people call it death. Other teachings see it as annihilation. And practitioners of vehicles regard it as non-action in all meritorious deeds. However, these are all deluded thoughts and attachments. Only sages who have surpassed the state of ordinary people can see impartiality in everything without grasping or resisting nirvana. Why? The treatise on the essence of sudden awakening states, how does one attain great parinirvana? One can attain it by committing no karma that leads to birth and death. What is the karma of birth and death then? Answer is seeking great nirvana is the karma of life and death. Leaving defilement and reaching for purity is the karma of birth and death. Attaching certification of awakening is the karma of birth and death. Attaching to the Dharma of duality, also karma of birth and death. So we know the Buddha Dharma is an antidote to treat the root of our illness, the karma of delusion. Once the karma of delusion is gone, we also have to let go of the Dharma door that acts as its medicine, so that nothing is being held on to. That's the state of the great parinirvana. Only one who has gone beyond measuring penetrates without grasping or rejecting. So here's one day, the Sixth Patriarch wanted to wash the Dharma robe passed down by the Fifth Patriarch, but he could not find any clean water. He went to the back of the monastery, saw an auspicious energy in the air. He hit the ground with his staff, and a fountain sprung from the ground. As the Patriarch started washing the robe on the rock, a monk named Fang Bian came to pay respects, saying, I visited Bodhidharma in India. He instructed me to quickly come here to pay homage to the Sixth Patriarch. The Patriarch showed him the robe and asked him, What are you good at? So Fang Bian replied, I'm good at carving Buddha sculptures. So the patriarch asked that he carve one. And a few days later, he finished carving a sculpture of the sixth patriarch, which looked quite real. The patriarch then rubbed Fang Bian's crown and said to him, You'll become a monk in life after life, act as the field of blessings for gods and humans. The patriarch gave him a robe as a token of gratitude for his sculpture. Fang Bian accepted the robe and divided it into 3 parts. One he wrapped around the sculpture, one he kept for himself for memory, and one he buried in the ground, vowing. And then the vow was, in the future, when his robe is found again, I will appear in the world to be the abbot here and restore these buildings. Indeed, 400 years later, in the Song dynasty, a bhikshu named Wei Xin rebuilt the temple and dug out the robe which had remained like new. Okay, so now here a monk asked, Who has the 5th patriarch's Dharma? The 6th patriarch answered, One who understands the Buddha's teaching. I have a question for you. According to 6th patriarch's explanation of sudden awakening in Tan school, is there anything to be attained? Well, no, in actuality, there's nothing to be attained. The monk continued asking, Great Master, did you have it? The patriarch said, No, I did not. Why didn't? According to the Heart Sutra, there is no understanding and no attaining. Hence, the 6th patriarch said, he didn't receive anything. Since all dharma are empty, is there anything to be attained? But the monk pressed on. That is odd. Didn't you receive the 5th patriarch, Master Hongren's robe and bowl? Why didn't you receive anything? So the patriarch replied, I don't understand the Buddha Dharma. Now, how would you interpret the 6th patriarch's answer? In my opinion, the 6th patriarch had no thoughts, so the notion of understanding the Buddha Dharma never crossed his mind. So here, in the last story, a monk heard Dhyana Master Wolin's verse. Wolin has the talent to stop the 100 thoughts. Facing situations his mind won't move, Bodhi grows by the day. He was deeply impressed by Master Wolin's accomplishment. Master Wolin had mastered the Dharma that could stop the mirror thoughts and end all false thinking, hence proudly claiming that his mind was unmoved by conditions just like dead logs and that Bodhi grew and flourished in him daily. When the 6th patriarch heard it, he said, This verse shows no understanding of self-nature. He then spoke a verse to counter it. Huinen has no talent to stop the 100 thoughts. Facing situations in his mind often moves. How can Bodhi grow? Great Master Lian Qi has a really good explanation. He said, the 6th patriarch does not have to stop the mirror thoughts. He's like a mirror that reflects everything, but does not react to them. Like echoes reverberating back and forth in the valley, he lets things take its course, responding accordingly as they arise and letting them be as they pass. He has attained self-mastery and is free from worries and afflictions. The Bodhi is originally complete and does not need to grow nor flourish. Okay, so this is the class from the 6th Patriarch Jewel Dharma Platform Sutra and also the experiences of the Patriarch. Here's the homework. So this is the last class. So we would like to ask all of you, this sutra is the only classical text that's revered as a sutra along with other sutras. So after the 6 classes, which event in the sutra affects you the most? So apologies about going over the time. And now we will have transference of merit.
愿以此功德，庄严佛净土，上报四重恩，下济三途苦。若有见闻者，悉发菩提心，尽此一报身。 丰盛极乐国，顶礼老和尚。好，大家弥陀佛。